Hi everyone, welcome to Everything Spice. My name is Tanya, and today we are making sourdough molasses cookies. As promised, if you from my previous video, you can look at that, my sourdough series I'm starting, and today it's going to be about molasses cookies using sourdough. And I have a sourdough feed. I've been feeding my sourdough since 2020. And this is a half a cup of it. I just recently fed it, and that's part of the recipe, okay? So let's go into all that I have here, okay? In this bowl of goodness, I'm separating the dry from the liquid as I always do. I have here, let's see, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ginger. They ask for 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground cloves, but I didn't do it because I think there's enough spice in this that I'm going to leave it out. All right, and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. All right, and that's in that bowl. I have here 1 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 of a cup of softened butter. Right here I have my sugar. Now the sugar here is for rolling your cookies, so that can be up to you how much and how little you use. I'm going to use 1/4 of a cup of molasses. All right, and I have 1 egg in this bowl, which I'm going to start out with whipping that up, and all the liquids are going to go together and the sugars are going to go in here as well, right? The only exception when I'm talking about using the liquid with the liquid, dry with the dry, the sugars go in with the liquid. I don't know why that works, it just works. And it didn't ask for it, but I do like to add vanilla. I don't know why, I just do. I think vanilla just brings out something, and I just use it like that. You can use 1/2 teaspoon, okay? If you're correct, if you are counting this and you're looking for measurements, then use 1/2 teaspoon, okay? I'm gonna break the egg up and whisk it. And I'm looking forward to making these. I've made, what is it, before, chocolate chip sourdough cookies. I haven't made the molasses yet, but my daughter really likes the molasses. So we're gonna try it, see what happens. All right, the next step is the butter. Now, usually I was doing my mise en place, which in the French term means everything in its place. So I'm setting up everything in advance so that we don't have to waste time looking around. It's a very good French way of preparing the food in advance so that you're not like looking in every cabinet and stuff, wasting time. It's a time saver to do it mise en place. Have everything ready to go when you need it. But as far as the butter, the softened butter probably should have went in first, but it's still gonna be a good cookie. It's not gonna do anything to it. It's just whipping it first kind of helps out. It's gonna be a little chunkier looking, which is fine. I'll show you in a minute what I mean. It's not gonna come out to be that smooth fabulousness until the egg, well, the egg's already in, until the sugar goes in. See what I mean? See how it's a little chunkier right there? There we go. It'd be a little bit more smoother if you would have done the opposite, butter first and egg. But whatever, it's still gonna come out good. Now, sugar goes in next, and it's packed brown sugar, meaning you press down slightly and have it leveled, okay? Important. Now let's mix all that in. And then I'm gonna add my starter in here, and then 1/4 of a cup. Look how perfect this is. I'll show you what I mean by it's not gonna be bad if you do it the opposite. See? It still comes out perfect, even if you didn't do it the opposite way. So no worries, no worries. If you don't remember that step, it's not going to ruin the whole thing. I'm gonna put in my starter now. Sometimes you can put it in at the last, but I'm putting it in now just to get it out of the way, because guess what? I need the measuring cup to measure my 1/4 cup of molasses, so that's the only reason the sour is going in now and not later. Making room, babies, making room. Okay, 1/4 of a cup of molasses. Let's measure it out. That's to the first line. Yum, and that's gonna give it quite the taste. All right, let me get rid of that aside. Put it in, molasses. Ooh, so good. brand will do. Perfect. Perfecto, right there. Look at that. And look at how beautiful that color is. Look at the color. It's so pretty. It's going to be that dark, rich cookie. So mix that in really well. And then we're going to whisk in. All of our ingredients have to be whisked. So I'm going to use the same whisk for that. Combine them good because the baking soda and baking powder are activants. So you want that to be completely mixed in so that it works. There's no pieces that have it, no, some pieces don't. There you go, right? All right, so now we're gonna add, done there, liquid to the dry. Okay? Put it in, and I'm just gonna put the whole thing in. I'm not gonna fool around with that. Everything goes in. And it's looking good. So good. And the butter has to be room temperature. If it's hard, it's going to be hard to mix in and combine. So just fold it all in. Combine it really well. All right. You might have to, because it's a really soft dough, depending on the humidity in your kitchen, you might need more or less flour. But this seems like it's really soft. You might have to put it in the refrigerator for a little bit to harden up before you roll it. Let's check it out and see. Because you don't want to add extra flour to this, because guess what happens? It toughens the cookie. And you certainly don't want it a tough cookie. You want it to be able to roll out easy. So what you should do, what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator for a little bit, because the oven's preheated to 325, but it's not ready yet. And if I'm afraid that if I put it on the pan, it's too soft. See what I mean? I mean, today is a very humid day in New England. So it's kind of, I mean, you could try to roll it, but I think I'm gonna give it time in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna come back once it's softened, once it's hardened enough in the refrigerator, and then we're gonna roll it in the sugar, and you're gonna see how these beautiful molasses cookies come together. So join me for sourdough molasses cookies. There we go. Let me see if you can see it. Yeah. A card game with my son while I waited for the cookies in the refrigerator. All right, we're back. So now we have, the dough has hardened. So it's not as soft as it was initially. So let's get started. So what we're gonna do, and if it softens during the process, then what you do, clean hands, wash my hands, take a spoon, right? If it hardens, if it softens, I should say, during the process, then what you do is just pop it back into the refrigerator to cool off. Okay, now you're gonna roll it in the sugar, okay? Do it one at a time. I'm gonna do a couple, and then I'll come back once they're all set up, okay? And I'll put them in the oven so that you don't have to see the whole process. We'll do a couple of cookies, like a spoonful, maybe less, depending on the size you want for your cookies. They say they make 24, but if you make them smaller, then obviously you're gonna make more, right? Roll it in the sugar. It has that crackly look to it. Look how pretty. That sparkly, crackly look. Look how pretty that is. And then you put them on the pan and you separate them because you don't know how. I'll do 3. Okay, I'll get 3 done here. Hang on. 3. And it is a softer dough, so you know. Might get on your hands. No worries. On the smell in here, it's just like the spices. And you want them uniform. So if it doesn't look exactly like the other one, take a little bit out. Because you want them as uniform as possible so that they cook at the same rate. You don't want some that are raw, some that are cooked. You know, you're fooling around with it. You want all the pan to be done at the same time. Okay, here we go. Look how pretty, okay? So 3 at a time, going all the way down, and I will show you that when I am done. Let me wash my hands first. I have sticky dough all over my phone. All right. Clean hands are your best tools, my friend. All right, let me finish up all the cookies, and I'll see you on the other side before I put them in. All right, so they're all rolled out. As you can see, let me bring you to the pans. See how they look? They're all even for the most part. I got a little extra ones that are bigger than the others, but this is what they look like. Parchment paper in the pan, sprayed with cooking spray, on the bottom of the pan so that this parchment sticks. That's what I usually do. Put these cookies on. You want to separate them an inch or more apart because you don't know what the spread is going to be. And these are going to spread because they're molasses cookies. They're known to spread. So I'm going to put them in the oven at 325, and it says here on the recipe for 13 to 18 minutes, depending on your stove. If you have a newer stove, an older stove, a convection oven, it can cook faster or slower depending on electric or gas too. So what you're going to do is halfway through the cooking process, you're going to rotate the pan, okay? Turn the pan so that there's even browning. If it's on this side, you turn it that side, just so you have even browning of these cookies, okay? There's a slight brownish around the edges. It doesn't have to set completely, but it does have to have a little bit of like the brown around the edges in order for it's not like dark brown at all, a light brown around the edges. I'll show you when I take them out what they're supposed to look like. But these are my sourdough molasses cookies. So we're almost wrapping it up. I'll show you the finished product when it comes out of the oven. Thank you for staying tuned to Everything Spice. I'll see you on the other side. This is it. The final shot. My sourdough molasses cookies are done out of the oven. What you have to do when they first come out, what I did was I had my 2 sheet pans, one in the middle, one on the bottom, and then halfway through I flipped them. One went to the top, one went to the bottom, opposites, and then turned each pan, okay? So it's around, I would say 18 minutes, give or take. All right, you sit, this one just came out, so I'm gonna try this one. This one sat out longer. So I'll give you an example here. See the bottom of it? It's brown. It's crackly, it's delicious, it's shiny. It's molasses, baby. And it is beautiful. And these are soft molasses cookies, okay? So, store them in an airtight container once they're completely cooled, or you can gift them. These are total holiday because the smell in this house right now is just Christmas. I'm so excited because the season's gonna be starting soon, and you know what that means. I'm gonna be going crazy for cookies. Crazy for cookies, that's gonna be my series. But I'm gonna wait a few minutes for this batch, and then I'm gonna turn them out. This is total gift giving, or just eating it until you gorge. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you are going to love this recipe, so give it a try. Please give it a try. This is the first in a series of sourdough sensations. So I'm gonna give you ideas that you can use with your sourdough runoff or your sourdough excess. So you can create fantastic cookies just like this in your own home. If you enjoyed this series or you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share so we can grow together as a family. And please join me next time for Everything Spice. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. Be safe.